Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bravo Docket. We're going to be talking about the Marco lawsuit, and Angela's been doing a deep dive, and I know you've been so excited to get to this one. So finally have a Saturday free to just sit and go fully into the docket on all the allegations here and all the evidence.
I was really excited to dig into this one. There's a lot here. We're very interested in going through everything. We've also correlated a timeline of other relevant events that were happening with Tom and Erika Girardi around the time that these things were going on with the Marco lawsuit. People should watch the documentary because you can hear the Marco designers telling their own side of the story from their own voices, and it's very powerful.
Very powerful and very heartbreaking. And I don't think the lawsuit gets into that. I don't think he put the full ramifications or the impact that this had on his life, but the documentary gets into it, and it's sad.
The lawsuit is still in very early stages. We're going to go into these things later on after we go through the facts and the timeline and kind of both sides of the story as it's been pled. The defendants in the case, American Express, the Secret Service agents, and Erika and her assistants, including Mikey, have all used pretty much every possible procedural aspect they can to try to get the case to go away at an early stage. And so far, none of them have worked. So it looks like this case is going to go forward, and we're going to keep reporting on it.
For those who don't know what the Marco lawsuit is, this is a lawsuit that a costume designer named Chris Psaila is filing against Erika Girardi, who we know, American Express Company, Robert Savage, who's the head of Secret Service in Los Angeles, or was then, Kenneth Henderson, who's a Secret Service agent who pursued the investigation, Steve Scarance, who's a Secret Service agent who also pursued the investigation, Peter Grimm, who's an Amex employee and bank investigator, Laia Ribatallada, who is Mikey's assistant and has been seen on the show. I think she also helps Erika on the show. And then Mikey Minden, who's Erika's creative director / assistant, who we've all seen on the show. And it's in the Central District of California.
Federal court. All right, I think we're just going to jump in. The complaint is really long and really detailed. So we're just going to go ahead and jump in and start reading this and give some explanations and commentary and context as we go through it. But this is, again, as we always say, this is a complaint. This is one party statement of the case. As we're going through this, try to think about it like you would a judge or a clerk reading this for the first time, and try to put your biases aside and look at it just from the facts and whatnot as they're presented.
The first title is Plaintiff's Credit Card Charges to Defendant Erika Girardi's Amex Credit Card Were All Authorized and Legitimate. And so plaintiff here, again, is Psaila, who's one of the two designers who make up Marco. So at all relevant times, plaintiff Chris Psaila was the managing partner of Marco, a Hollywood, California-based celebrity costume design brand catering to the entertainment industries, including music, television, theater, and motion pictures. Clients of Marco include famous personalities such as Britney Spears, Jennifer Lopez, and Katy Perry, among others. Chris Psaila and Mr. Morante, who's the other Marco, he's the other Marco designer, and he's Puerto Rican. I just want to flag that, a fellow Puerto Rican. They started Marco in 2003 and have been in business 20 years together, starting Marco from the ground floor up. In addition, Marco has designed for American institutions such as Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, the San Francisco Ballet, and the Houston Ballet. That's weird. I've lived in those places.
Yeah, you have lived in all those places.
Yeah. And I've been to a Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey show when I was little. Anyway, plaintiff Psaila and Mr. Morante built a successful business and reputation for delivering high-value costumes for entertainers. In 2022, Marco won an Emmy Award for costume design. And I first heard about them through Drag Race. They design a lot of drag costumes.
Yeah. Their costumes are objectively gorgeous. And just to preface this, one of my many hobbies that I don't have enough time for is sewing. Sewing is incredibly difficult. It's not just design, it's also architecture. It has to look good from all angles, and it's art that has to have a function. And these types of costumes that they're designing for performances and that are custom made are very expensive. They're incredibly labor intensive. their original designs. We've all seen Erika rolling around on a stage, but we've also seen other very high octane performers wearing these costumes, and they have to hold up under the lights, under pictures, and while the performers are moving around, and again, look good from all angles. So this is a highly skilled artisan that is making these costumes.
Especially on drag performers too. They have to work with different proportions and get that right. The drag performers, are trying to look some like a woman. So they have to get those proportions right. And then like I used to dance and we had to have rhinestone costumes, and the rhinestones alone are so expensive and time consuming. And these costumes, I was going to say, we'll show you pictures. I forgot we're on a podcast, but I think I posted some pictures on our Instagram of their costumes. They're just fully rhinestoned, and that's a lot of labor and cost of supplies. So these are expensive costumes, but they're also beautiful.
Just going to go back to the timeline for a minute. So this is all going on around 2014, 2016. And Erika was likely negotiating for her spot on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in late 2014, probably got hired in 2014, and then they started filming in August 2015.
I looked up her songs, and in 2014 is when she released Painkiller.
Yes.
And she had other hits before that, but I think that was one of her big hits and one of her hits that was focused on the show.
So from 2014 to 2016, and we're going to go into this in the complaint, that's when Erika is purchasing these costumes from Marco Marco.
Well, one more thing. Then they appeared on the show on December 22nd, 2015. And that was season 6, episode 4. It was called The M Word. That's the one where Lisa Rinna makes a shocking suggestion about Yolanda's health. And that's where she goes and visits Marco Marco's store. So they were on the season.
So paragraph 29 of the complaint. Erika Girardi, having heard of the business success of Marco Marco, had commissioned Marco Marco to design various outfits for a nascent singing career and her appearance on the popular television show The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Over the course of approximately 30 months from 2014 to 2016, Erika Girardi purchased from Marco Marco numerous costumes and clothing items for herself and for members of her performing entourage. These costumes were worn for stage performances, as documented at times in the television show The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. As a customer of Marco Marco, Erika Girardi made purchases using, and this is a side note, what we now know as the infamous American Express card imprinted with her name. And as you know from our previous episodes, this is another sidebar, there was something close to, 20 million on that card that they totaled up over the course of multiple years, like close to a decade?
I think so, but now I'm like, was it 2? Was it 12? Was it 20? I think it was 20.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It says, on information and belief, Erika Girardi used the Amex card bearing her name as an authorized user associated with the account of her husband, Tom Girardi, the account holder solely financially responsible for the credit card charges.
So purchases Defendant Erika Girardi made from Marco Marco were authorized by Girardi or her assistants. So it's Laia and Mikey, whom Erika authorized to make purchases on her behalf. When Erika met Psaila for the first time, she provided her credit card number, Amex account, and then there's a number, expiration date, and security code. Everything plaintiff would need to submit a credit card charge to Amex. In a meeting between Erika Girardi, Laia, and Mikey, and Marco, and plaintiff, at the beginning of their business relationship in 2014, Erika specifically authorized Chris to charge her Amex card for invoices for costumes and services. At this meeting for a costume fitting, the plaintiff said he would send her invoices and handed Defendant Erika Girardi a hard copy of the first invoice. She physically waved the invoice away and said it would not be necessary. She did not want to be given the invoices, a practice not normal for Chris Psaila, who customarily provided his customers with invoices.
2 things. First, when we say plaintiff, we're talking about Chris Psaila, who is the one that was arrested because of these claims that Erika and her team made about the charges. So if we say plaintiff, we mean Chris Psaila, who's Marco Marco. And 2, I can 100% see Erika not even wanting to look at an invoice. I mean, she talked about that in her book. She talks about that and how much she spends on glam, $40,000 a month on glam, all of that. I don't think Erika cared to look at invoices or would even ask for them. That seems very realistic to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, later she even says she didn't get access to the online accounts until later in 2016. So she wasn't even looking at the invoices of her credit card. So it's not surprising. But yeah, they also use Chris. So it's Chris, plaintiff, and Psaila.
Should we just pick one name?
So
should we just call him? Should we just say Chris? Make it
sure,
easier?
let's just call him Chris. But it takes us a second to flip it in our head.
Yeah.
These different ones.
So for 3 years, until the dispute arose in November 2016, defendants Erika Girardi, Laia, and Mikey never asked to see the invoices nor disputed any charge made by Chris to Erika Girardi's credit card account. So another thing I want to bring up, it was in the fall of 2016 that Girardi's money troubles sort of started to bubble up, at least more to the public view. We know from the LA Times article and from other things that around fall 2016 is when Girardi was starting to have to borrow heavily to fund his law firm. So from the litigation lenders that we've talked about in the other episodes. And apparently this is also when Girardi finally started paying attention to Erika's charges on the American Express bill. And Ceci, do you want to read the little excerpt from the LA Times article about this from fall of 2016?
The head of LA office of the U.S. Secret Service, Lorenzo Robert Savage III, thought he was being shortchanged in a lawsuit over a defective braking system in his family's Volkswagen minivan. And Tom Girardi, then at the height of his power, was borrowing heavily to fund his law firm and increasingly upset about the size of his wife's American Express bill. To address their respective problems, Savage and Girardi and their spouses turned to each other. Girardi agreed to represent Savage and his wife for free in a bid to extract a larger cash settlement in the minivan case. When his efforts failed, Girardi dug into his own pocket to pay the family at least $7,500. The same month, Savage arranged for Secret Service agents from a financial crimes squad to meet with Erika Girardi about what she said were excessive charges to her credit card by a Hollywood costume firm. Woo.
That entire LA Times article is really good. You can find it online. The LA Times has done amazing reporting on this. But now we're going to go back to the complaint. So for 3 years until... Wait. Did I read that already?
But just remember that Secret Service guy.
Yes. Remember the Secret Service guy. Erika Girardi and her assistant, Laia, and her assistant, Mikey, or her stylist, Danny, would order custom costumes as well as alterations and service repairs for Erika and her dancers. Marco would design and illustrate the costumes for approval, create, sew, and embellish the costumes, and would hold fittings with Girardi at the company's Hollywood studio. Marco was consistently asked by Girardi, Laia, and Minden for alterations on Girardi's department store purchased clothing, repairs and maintenance on performance costumes, and materials kits for Girardi's tours. Marco provided all deliverables to Girardi, Laia, and Minden, who were authorized to act on her behalf. At no point prior to November 2016 did Erika, Laia, or Minden ever dispute any of the charges.
That's kind of insane to go to a Hollywood costume designer to get your department store purchases altered. Just go to the corner alterations lady.
It makes sense for Erika. It probably wasn't just alterations. It was probably other stuff too. Rhinestones on this or stretch panels that he was really good at doing because he makes those amazing catsuit costumes that move with your body. And with the way Erika likes things fitted, I wouldn't be surprised if she had him custom alter some of that stuff.
I don't have an American Express credit card. I think I would go to him for the fancy costumes. I'd hire someone else local for the rhinestoning. I don't know. Yeah. But I don't have an unlimited Amex account or credit card.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. Well, no. It wasn't nice. Yeah. She didn't have it either. So
what Erika says about this is that, and remember this for the timeline. So this is September 2016. So Erika says, and this is from a motion that was later filed where Erika's trying to strike the complaint. But Erika says, and this is a declaration that she has signed and submitted to the court, saying that sometime in 2016, Tom Girardi began to complain to me on multiple occasions that I was spending too much on my AMEX card. My husband's complaints concerned me. This is Erika again. Although I had no visibility into our finances, Tom Girardi had not otherwise complained about financial problems, nor had he mentioned to me that he or his law firm had needed to take on debt or that they were behind on any outstanding debt obligations. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with anything else, by the way. Erika's just adding that in. When I asked Tom Girardi what charges he was referring to, all Tom Girardi did was mention high dollar amounts with no specifics. Well, for Erika, that could be anything. About a month later, Tom Girardi complained to me again about supposedly high and excessive American Express charges. I asked for specifics, but received none. Based on my husband's complaints, I decided to try and get access to my American Express account. In September 2016, I called American Express, but could not provide security information because I did not know it. The American Express customer service agent reassured me that she recognized my voice from watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and gave me access to the American Express account. Now, Ceci, what do you think about that?
That is insane. Well, first, insane she doesn't know the security information, but I already knew she didn't know how to gain access. But for the Amex person to just give her access, that is insane. Insane.
I don't know that I believe that.
The fan... You don't believe it? Well, if it happened, the fan listening to this that did that, that is insane. Do not do that. Insane. But why do you not? Well, I mean,
so
yeah, but
I have an American Express Platinum card. It's nowhere near what Erika's is, but I have one. And when you have the card and the number and the stuff on the back to it, and you know where you live and you know your zip code, you can get access to your account. I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten passwords and whatnot. I just find this unbelievable. And also that she didn't need to say is unnecessary. The security thing is unnecessary, but it's just showing that she never double checked the charges. I think that's what she's trying to get at. But yeah, you do have to do some security. I mean, on most credit cards, no,
not
you
just
do.
The Amex one, but she said she didn't know any of them.
But she knows where she lives. She has the card because she's using it. So she has all the numbers on it. She knows other identifying information. So while she couldn't, for example, get access to Tom's, John and I share the same American Express account. He can call and get access to the charges he's made on his card.
But isn't this a firm credit card?
But it was in Erika's name. Anyway, it doesn't. They gave her the info, so she got it from American Express one way or the other.
But I just don't understand why she would lie about it.
I just think
it's so unnecessary to put in here. Why even lie about that?
This is just me speculating, but I think she's got her own reasons for doing these things and unnecessarily putting in a declaration to the court that the American Express customer service agent reassured me that she recognized my voice from watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and that's why she got access to the American Express account is unnecessary. She called and got access.
I thought what you were going to say is that she's trying to make it seem like this is all Amex's fault.
Yeah. She wants to make them look bad and like they are negligent as well.
And then she also says Laia was with me when I made the call. So she's trying to set it up like they're fraudulent.
Laia is also a defendant and she's, you'll see as we go on. So it says, subsequently on September 19, 2016, I received an email from American Express confirming my recent enrollment for online access to my account. And then she attaches that as Exhibit 1. And Ceci and I were cackling at her email address when we first looked at this. We're not going to tell you what it is, but it's something like Erika, Jayne, Sparkle, Princess, Pink, Pony, something. It's something ridiculous like that. So in an opposition motion to another procedural action attempting to dismiss the case filed by the defendants, Chris of Marco Marco states that, again, none of them complained about any of the charges made to the Amex card during the nearly 3 years of business relationship until September 2016. And this is from a declaration that Chris gives. And he says on September 19th, 2016, Defendant Minden called plaintiff Chris to inquire about a recent transaction charged to Girardi's Amex card for a balance payment on 2 Swarovski embellished leotards. These were duplicates of leotards, which she showed off on a Bravo TV feature and wore while performing a routine filmed in Mykonos, Greece, called It's Expensive to Be Me. I remember that episode. I remember them all posing or whatever by that pool in Greece. Minden said Girardi was surprised by the charge and thought the price was too high. Chris did not believe the price was too high, but decided to refund the balance until Girardi could speak with his partner about the price.
Pursuant to the course of dealing, so this is Chris's complaint. Pursuant to the course of dealing established between Marco Marco as merchant and Erika Girardi as customer, Erika and or one or more of her agents, Laia and Mikey, communicated orders for purchases and corresponding charges were made pursuant to the express standing authorization given at the beginning of their business relationship back in 2014. That authorization was never revoked during the course of dealings until the dispute arose in November 2016. All invoices and services were authorized through their course of conduct via telephone calls, electronic mail, text messages, or in-person contact with personnel at the Marco Marco studio. and evidenced by the fact that the costumes were all supplied to Defendant Erika Girardi and members of her performance entourage worn in their performances. So to summarize what in normal people language, what he's saying is that even if there weren't invoices exchanged, like she received the costumes, someone always signed off on the costume. Someone was always saying, hey, we need another costume. And then he would provide it and he would charge her for it. So it was just how they established their relationship.
Yeah, that was their ongoing pattern and practice and course of business. And legally, when you say agent, you can authorize someone to act on your behalf. It doesn't have to be written down. It doesn't have to be formally memorialized. But if you own a company or you have people working for you or with you, and then you send them out to do your bidding, they are your agents, and you can, be like, hey, I want you to go get this stuff from Marco, and then I need you to pick this up and do that, and then tell them to make this and A, B, and C. And they are acting on your behalf, and so they're your agents, and just how this would work.
Yeah, agency law and the fact that there can be this offer acceptance, regular course of dealing relationship that is recognized by contract law. Anyway, so going back. On 2 subsequent occasions after the initial authorization was given at the first meeting, Erika Girardi, through her agents, reauthorized the use of her Amex card twice by Marco, thus authorizing Marco's use of the Amex card for the costumes and services he provided her throughout their course of doing business. On the first reauthorization, the Amex card had expired, and Shirlene Fujimoto, Tom Girardi's executive assistant at Girardi Keys, on behalf of Erika, sent updated credit card information by email to Marco. On the second reauthorization, Marco had changed software necessitating updated credit card information. Laia, on behalf of Erika, provided updated credit card information to Marco. Ms. Girardi's Amex card expired 2 times during their course of dealing, and Erika, through Laia and her husband Tom Girardi and his assistant, caused them to reauthorize her card twice and provide updated credit card information. By her conduct, Erika gave actual and implicit authorization for the charges to her credit card.
None of that sounds weird or off to me with what we know about Erika and even Erika's own statements prior to all of this happening of how she did things. As a customer of Marco, Erika, through her agents, purchased during 2015 to 2016, approximately $934,000 worth of goods and services, 132 separate transactions, all of which were charged to the American Express card. And that is a lot of money, but again, 132 separate transactions.
It's $7,000 per costume.
Yeah, that's actually reasonable. For a bespoke custom costume, that's incredibly reasonable.
I mean,
It's not reasonable that she needed 132 or whatever.
No, she's
or
not
however many it was, but it's reasonable. That's not what I'm saying is reasonable. I'm saying his charges are reasonable.
I know, but I was just going to say, you were saying it seems normal given what we know about Erika, but I'm almost positive even the major celebrities still require like a receipt. I honestly think she's in the minority here. Even major celebs would require an invoice and a discussion of price. This is very abnormal to just give your card and be like, yep, just charge it for everything. Go ahead, charge it. And artists even rewear the same outfits throughout their tour. So for her to have so many different outfits is insane. Like, look back at videos of Britney Spears during her biggest tours, like her circus tour. She always wore that same opening ringleader costume for every opening number. So it makes no sense that Erika has to have a different outfit for every show and music video. Well, music video, I understand, but every show, I don't understand that.
That's entirely unnecessary. And I mean, not that it's the same thing, but when you did competitive dance, would you have a new costume for every single dance event, or would you kind of reuse some?
No, it was one costume per dance.
Yeah, when you did that style of dance, you would wear the costume you already had.
Right. Yeah, so it's like when I was salsa dancing, we had a dance that was kind of based on like Arabian. So we had like a purple Princess Jasmine costume that we all wore.
Oh my God, you must have looked so cute in that.
Oh, I was older, so I looked great. It wasn't cute.
Oh my God, I was imagining you as like
No,
7.
when I was salsa dancing, I was older.
How old were you?
14 or 11 to 14 or 15. Yeah.
Yeah, a Princess Jasmine costume at that age. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was Princess Jasmine when I was little. So I kept it and I like wore it for Halloween costumes after. But yeah, we would just wear the same, you know, because it had to go with the dance. We couldn't wear that Jasmine costume for the jungle dance that we did. So
no, but you're absolutely right. Like Taylor Swift has more money than anyone, and she's not throwing all of her costumes in the garbage and getting new ones for each concert.
She might like bring out a new one to spice things up, but for the most part, she wears the same thing.
Yeah, you're making a really good point here. I was just, I think from watching Real Houses of Beverly Hills, I was so accustomed to just Erika being Erika and over the top and spending so much. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, why would you need a different one for every different event that you go to? That doesn't make...
It's not like the same people are seeing her perform. Well, maybe she has
right
the same 10 fans that follow her. And not all of her performances were televised. So
no, and it's not like even that many people were seeing her performances unless she was doing them on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills on an episode that got aired. It's
insane. It's insane. Yeah. It is insane to have a $7,000 costume every time.
Now that we're talking about this and kind of thinking through it out loud, back to the September 2016 statement from Erika, where she's talking about how Tom Girardi began to complain to her on multiple occasions. Building off of your very valid point, sometime in 2016, Girardi began to complain to me, this is Erika, on multiple occasions that I was spending too much on my American Express card. Well, that spending too much on the American Express card is not the same thing as someone cheating you or stealing from you. Apparently, it didn't even occur to Erika that maybe she shouldn't be buying new costumes every time and spending all of this for me, or someone must be doing something wrong. And that's why Tom's complaining about the charges, not because I'm just spending too much money. I didn't know what charges he was referring to. All Tom Girardi did was mention high dollar amounts with no specifics. So if any of this of what Erika's saying is true, Tom Girardi, who ostensibly in 2016 hasn't had the car accident yet and is still totally fine, even if we believe what he's saying about that, Tom Girardi would have access to these American Express charges and was a very smart attorney, would be able to be like, oh, this looks like something fraudulent. But instead, even in Erika's own words, sometime in 2016, Tom Girardi began to complain to me on multiple occasions that I was spending too much. So stop spending so much. Easy solution.
I don't think she knew how much these costumes were worth. So then when she saw the total, she was like, oh, crap. Because that is really expensive.
And he had to make a pattern just for her. And then he has to make a new pattern every time she wants a new design. And then he's also doing drawings, which typically, like if you have something custom designed and made, you pay for the initial design consultation, you pay for the initial drawings, then you pay for revisions of the drawing. Then there's the cost of the fabric, then there's the cost of the labor to make it, and then the bespoke fitting, all of the materials. And as she'll go into this, and so will he, about how she wanted things to look more expensive than they were.
Yeah, but I still don't think she thought that they were that much money.
She's not stupid. Okay, me, $7,000 for a bespoke, custom-made costume by one of these designers I feel like that's infinitely reasonable. And she was probably honestly getting charged less because she was buying so many.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to give her like the benefit of the doubt. All I'm saying is that...
No, you can. It's a safe space to do that here.
But I'm not doing that.
But you can.
I'm not.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I think she thought that they were going to be less. And so the whole reason that she did this alleged thing that she did to him was because she was like, I cannot believe I spent that much money. We have to get it back.
I don't know. The way Erika presented herself for so long on the show and even in her own book and everything else, I think she did not give a shit how much anything cost and thought the money was endless. I do think she thought Tom's money was never going to run out. And I do think she didn't care how he was getting it. Then all of a sudden, Tom's like, well, if you want to keep doing this, you got to get the money back somehow or whatever. We need money back. So she participated in this to try to get money back. But I don't believe that Erika, who has grown up doing dance, would not think that one of these costumes would be $7,000.
Yeah, I think she could. My costumes are never that much. I think maybe she thought it was like $2,000.
He's making costumes for famous people, for Katy Perry.
I know, but she didn't even ask the prices.
She knows how much her Cartier ring costs.
She knows that.
She knows she was spending $40,000 a month on glam.
But she even says she never asked how much they were. She just was like, no, I don't even want to know. All I'm saying is she probably was like shocked at the total. Yeah,
maybe. So Marco Morante, on behalf of Marco, have evidentiary and documentary proof, this is paragraph 36, have evidentiary and documentary proof that they supplied all goods and services representing all 132 transactions with Erika Girardi for the years 2015 to 2016, and that were processed on the American Express card. The evidentiary proof that will be produced in discovery is comprised of text messages, emails, sketches of costumes sent to defendants, invoices, order invoices, proof of delivery emails, and Googled internet photos showing Erika Girardi wearing the outfits corresponding to the AMEX charges. The evidence in this case establishes beyond all dispute that all transactions that defendants Erika Girardi, Laia, and Mikey, conspiring with the AMEX defendants and the Secret Service defendants, claimed were fraudulent, were authorized legitimate charges where the costumes and services were supplied. All of the charges were authorized, none of them were fraudulent, and defendants knew it. In Chris Psaila's indictment, he was charged with 7 counts 2 to 8, where he allegedly charged Erika Girardi's Amex card, but failed to supply the goods and services. Attached as Exhibit 1 is the evidentiary proof that establishes beyond all doubt that Chris Psaila and Marco supplied the costumes and services represented by those 7 invoices for those 7 counts. Chris has similar proof for all 132 American Express transactions.
She has an email where Erika sends the 7 charges that she's disputing or has issue with.
Yeah.
It's crazy that she found 7 out of 132 where she's like, this one seems wrong.
Actually, I think they sent all the stuff to the Secret Service, and the Secret Service was like, we can't find receipts for these. And Erika was like, oh yeah, those are right. Mm-hmm. He stole that. That's what I think.
Psaila, Marco, and Marco tracked all, like Marco Morante that's why it's Marco. Anyway, continuing. Tracked and coordinated orders, fittings, and deadlines, and efficiently communicated all logistics for good and services produced for Defendant Erika Girardi through one or more of her assistants, including Laia and Mikey, via text message, email, and proof of delivery text messages. Erika, Laia, and Mikey were in possession of the outfits, text messages, emails, sketches of the costumes sent to defendants' emails, and proof of delivery text messages that established the goods and services were providing, establishing that they knew they received the goods and services underlying the credit card charges. More basically, Erika and her performance crew had the outfits exclusively provided by plaintiff. There was never a time Marco did not timely provide the costumes and services. And Erika, Laia, and Mikey never complained that they did not receive the goods and services represented by the Amex charges. Until November 2016, Erika, Laia, and Mikey never complained once about the charges. Well, it's because Tom started complaining.
Yeah, Tom started having money troubles, and then Tom, for the first time, is complaining about the American Express charges, and now suddenly Erika is complaining about them.
She's like, crap, I got to find some money.
So we still have a ton more to get through. I think this series will have to be 3 episodes at least, just because of the amount of back and forth and exhibits involved, and we want to get through it all. So tune in next week for the next part of this episode. Thanks for listening, legal team.